Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you guys so much for listening to these stories. And I want to warn you guys, I'm going to say some things that are not going to sit well with your sensibilities with this story. I am going to try to be sensitive, but I have to be honest because I believe that education is the only way that we can start to get better and being honest. We got to start having more of an honest conversation and calling out what's actually going wrong with us. As far as my people, if you even want to call it that, it seems that we are our own worst enemy. And I want that behavior to stop because it is robbing us of our own freedom. We're holding ourselves back and it's hurting our children. Number one, it's hurting our children, okay? There's a man and a woman from Cheektowaga, and they were arraigned Thursday morning on a series of gun and drug-related charges as part of an ongoing shooting spree at the Ferry Grider apartment complex late Monday night that left 4 people wounded. A man and a woman left 4 people wounded, including a 3-year-old baby boy who was shot in the head. Those 2 individuals, 22-year-old Daquan Richardson, how about that name? And 25-year-old Jonay Robinson. I wasn't even sure if that was a man or a woman, but they're saying it's a man and a woman, I guess. But I don't have their pictures, but you can look it up. It is, let me see if this is an L or an I. Hold on, let me see what this is. Hold on, y'all. Hold on just a second. I guess that looks like an I. Yeah, that looks like an I. So it's Daquan I. Richardson, 22 years old. It's either an L or an I, but I think it's an I. And Jonay B. Robinson, 25 years old. And they were arraigned in a Cheektowaga town court on 6 charges, including criminal possession of a firearm. According to court documents obtained by the news, investigators found a .25 caliber Titan pistol and a .223 caliber Spikes tactical semi-automatic rifle. Wow, that is a mouthful. Similar to the style of the AR-15 in the couple's apartment on Slate Creek Drive. They said they found that in the couple's apartment. So are they boyfriend and girlfriend? Are they out thugging it together? They out doing drive-bys together? They out busting guns together, Bonnie and Clyde? I don't know. But both weapons were loaded according to a felony complaint, and neither one was legally registered, of course. Along with the guns, investigators also found cocaine and other drug paraphernalia, which they say was being used in sale and distribution of drugs, of course. Because that's just what thugs do. Erie County District Attorney Johnny Flynn said that the search of the apartment that led to those charges came from an investigation that started after the shootings late Monday. The warrant was executed at 5 p.m. on Tuesday. Flynn also noted that as of Thursday morning, Richardson and Robinson had not been charged with committing the shootings, although that may change once the ballistic tests are performed on the guns to see if they match any of the bullets recovered at the scene. And I'm going to tell y'all, it seems like that's going to be the case. Both defendants were ordered to be held on a $175,000 bail. $175,000 bail. According to witnesses, 2 individuals approached a gathering at a Ferry Grider Apartments where residents were watching an amateur fireworks display. They were out watching fireworks. They were out cooking, chilling, having a good time. Next thing you know, bah, 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 bah. The next pops they heard were gunshots. How about that? And police said that 38 gunshots were fired. $38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. 38. Can y'all type that in the chat? Can y'all type the numbers 38 in the chat? 38. Where is Black Lives Matter when you need them? Why do we even use terminology like Black Lives Matter? Why? Clearly these people don't mean it. They out pumping the fist. Black power, Black power, Black Lives Matter. Stop killing us. Stop killing us. You shot 38 bullets at your own people. I want y'all to think about this for a moment. Out of all the ridiculous emails that I've been getting and people talking about I'm the problem. People are mad at me for talking about stories like this. They are more mad talking about I'm about to sue you. We gon' run up on you when we see you. You can end up stanking somewhere. What other kind of stuff are people saying? You can get touched. All of the weird stuff that people will email me and write me all of these death threats because they don't like the fact that I'm standing up and I'm saying that this shit shouldn't be happening. If Black lives really matter, then why don't they matter to Black lives? Why aren't people outraged about this? Why isn't there national outcry for 38 shots? I guess we could just forget about all the violence that's going on in Chicago. Because I know Relationship Rehab just did a story. Y'all make sure y'all got to check out his channel also. Because he just did a story recently on his channel about the ongoing bullcrap going on in Chicago. The words Black Lives Matter don't even make sense when you have stuff like this happening. 38 shots were fired. A woman who identified herself as a relative of the 3-year-old baby identified him as Shaquille Walker Jr. Or Shaquille, excuse me, it's Shaquille, my apologies. It's not Shaquille, it's Shaquille Walker Jr. and said that he was riding his bicycle near where his family was having a late night cookout and enjoying fireworks when the gunfire erupted. Let me give you guys the fair usage. Let me show y'all the news videos. And then we're going to get back to this ridiculous GoFundMe. Let's get it. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use and is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107.
Now, prosecutors are still holding back exactly how they think these people are connected, as we hear tonight from 2 on Your Side's Dave McKinley.
It turns out that less than 24 hours after witnesses say 2 people opened fire on a crowd gathered to watch fireworks at the Ferry Grider Apartments late Monday night, wounding 4, including a 3-year-old boy shot in the head, that police, armed themselves with a search warrant, were at an apartment at 85 Slate Creek Drive in Cheektowaga.
The shooting incident on July 5th, where the 3-year-old child was shot, that was the genesis or the foundation of the search warrant.
Inside the apartment, they allege they found cocaine, scales, and other materials associated with the sale of same, a pistol, and a semi-automatic rifle, neither of which was registered, making them illegal.
Trap house. Trap house.
The occupants, 22-year-old Daquan Richardson and 25-year-old Janae Robinson, were charged on drug and weapons counts. They were arraigned this morning before Cheektowaga Town Judge David Stevens, who set bail for each of them at $175,000. As of right now, neither is charged with the shootings, but that could change if ballistics tests on the guns match them to any of the 38 rounds that were fired at that scene on Monday.
And as David said, once we ascertain more evidence that can hopefully lead us to additional charges, I will do that. But I'm not gonna make additional charges until I have enough evidence, obviously.
Coming up at 6, why prosecutors may be in a bit of a race with time on that. Dave McKinley, Channel 2 News.
The people that did this, you guys took a beautiful soul from us.
The colorful-haired woman is the mother. This is the biological mother. This video, an interview, a short interview of the biological mother with the blue hair. With the fireworks hair.
People that did this, you guys took a beautiful soul from us.
Fighting back tears, the mother of a 3-year-old boy killed by gun violence is speaking out. Good evening, Danetta.
Killed by thug violence, not gun violence. Killed by gun violence, it's guns. Guns are doing so many bad things. Y'all need to start calling the media out and telling them to stop calling it gun violence. It's thugs with guns. Thug violence.
Jennifer sharing a powerful message today to whoever took the life of her son.
Call it what it is. It's thug violence.
Certainly was an emotional gathering today. 3-year-old Shaquelle Walker Jr. was shot and killed while watching fireworks on Donovan Drive a little more than a week ago. An emotional mother.
I would never be able to get to hear him say, because one thing about it, that was his favorite line, his favorite saying.
I want y'all to notice the AirPods in the ears and the blue and white hair. I'm going to bring that back up here in a moment. Just take notice of that. We'll come back to it because I'm about to talk about that GoFundMe here in a moment.
An emotional mother.
I would never be able to get to hear him say, because one thing about it, that was his favorite line, his favorite saying. Y'all really ruined my life.
Bravely stepping in front of the cameras to talk about her son, 3-year-old Shaquelle Walker Jr.
Yes, I do have another son to live for, which I could never get a Shaquille Darnell Walker Jr. back.
Shaquelle Walker Jr.
Yes, I do have another son to live for, which I could never get a Shaquille Darnell Walker Jr. back. I do have another son to live for, which I could never get a Shaquille Darnell Walker Jr.
What is the common theme of so many of my stories? What's the common theme? Y'all ready? We as black folks continue to have children by people who aren't worth having children by. She had 2 kids, no ring on the finger, no father in sight. 2 kids, no ring, no father in sight. But we're not making the correlation.
Shaquelle, or Quell, as his family called him, was shot while watching fireworks with his family on Donovan Drive July 5th. He died at the hospital 3 days later.
Y'all also took him from his brother. He was an amazing big brother.
The family and community are grieving.
Baby, young, vibrant baby that never had a chance at anything. That you destroy the community, you destroy the family.
Police in Buffalo had been working around the clock on this case to find the person or people who shot Quell and 3 other people.
Anyone who targets a 3-year-old is
deserves a special place in hell, obviously.
Erie County District.
Did y'all hear what he just said? This dude, I think he watches my show. Listen to what he just said. We're gonna talk about those gangs here in a minute. We're gonna talk about that here in a minute. Listen to what this dude just said. Listen to what he just said.
Or people who shot Quell and 3 other people.
Anyone who targets a 3-year-old deserves a special place in hell, obviously.
Erie.
Does that not sound like he's using my words? I need to turn this up and make sure y'all can hear this. What'd he say?
People.
Anyone who targets a 3-year-old deserves a special place in hell, obviously.
Erie County District.
Could y'all hear him? Let's listen one more time.
Or people who shot Quell and 3 other people.
Anyone who targets a 3-year-old deserves a special place in hell, obviously.
There's a special place in hell, obviously. Is that really obvious? Or is it obvious that they've heard me say that and now they're starting to use that terminology? Because I always use that in reference to these children who are murdered by these bastards. He could have just said, just like DJ Just Jay says, or the AFC says, there's a special place in hell. Been saying that for 3 years, but it's okay, Mr. Flynn. Go ahead and continue to use my words and don't give me credit. But shout out to Stockton, California. They actually showed my show on TV, on the news. They gave me my credit. Stockton, California gave me my credit, but Johnny Flynn is not giving me my credit.
Erie County District Attorney John Flynn says he has persons of interest in the Donovan Drive shooting. Last week, 22-year-old Daquan Richardson and 25-year-old Janae Robinson were arraigned on separate gun and drug charges that Flynn says relate to the shooting. According to police, bullet casings recovered from Richardson and Robinson's apartment in Cheektowaga match the casings found at the scene. Flynn stopping short of saying they pulled the trigger.
So you have actually placed those individuals at the scene?
I've placed persons of interest in the car.
In the car at the scene?
At the scene, yes.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I believe, yes. I believe that the shooter or shooter.
I thought that was a little weird. Did y'all notice this? Watch this when she asked them a question.
Actually placed those individuals at the scene?
I've placed persons of interest in the car.
In the car at the scene?
At the scene, yes.
Now, y'all know I laugh at people when they do these interviews and they act weird. Y'all didn't think that was kind of like a weird moment for him to laugh? Like, sometimes I can understand if there was something funny. I don't get what was comical about what was going on here. Watch this again. I just thought it was a little weird.
Actually placed those individuals at the scene?
I've placed persons of interest.
Right here, watch this.
In the car.
In the car at the scene?
At the scene, yes.
I think he thought that they were going to edit that out, and they didn't. I honestly think they thought they were going to do their editing techniques and edit that out.
Actually placed those individuals at the scene?
I've placed persons of interest in the car.
In the car at the scene?
I placed persons of interest.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I believe, yes. I believe that the shooter or shooters,
shooter or shooters? Is he serious? Am I just tripping? Shooter or shooters? What is a shooter?
In the car at the scene?
At the scene, yes.
yes. Yeah. Yeah. I believe, yes. I believe that the shooter or shooters pulled up in a vehicle, got out of the vehicle, shot, and then got back in the vehicle and left.
The people that did this, You guys took a beautiful soul from us.
Oh, we are so sorry for Quell's family.
Next video.
The Erie County District Attorney now says 2 people have been arraigned on separate charges following the investigation into this shooting. 7 Eyewitness News reporter Hannah Bueller picks up that part of the story tonight.
We need all the help we can and as many people as possible to come forward.
Erie County District Attorney John Flynn says 2 people with possible connections to the July 5th Donovan Drive shooting, which killed 3-year-old Shaquelle Walker, are now behind bars.
Bail's the same on both, $175,000 bail. We had asked for remand, that I want them locked up and no bail set. We asked the judge for remand. But the judge put bail on them both.
22-year-old Daquan Richardson and 25-year-old Janae Robinson of Cheektowaga were both arraigned in Cheektowaga Town Court on illegal gun and drug charges Thursday. While Flynn says he cannot comment on specifics of this case, he says the investigation into the Donovan shooting led investigators to a home on Slate Creek Drive in Cheektowaga off French Road, where a search warrant was executed.
I'll just, I'll tell you that it was over 35 and less than 40 rounds that were fired at the scene. And obviously a 3-year-old child was struck in the head. He apparently was driving a bicycle. He was on a little bike when it happened.
Flynn says one of the guns.
Driving a bicycle. Riding a bicycle. Driving a bicycle. I don't know. He could just be an oddball. I don't know, but y'all voted for him. I don't know. Y'all know him better than I do.
Recovered from the apartment was an illegal assault rifle. He says another, an illegal handgun. Investigators say they found other drugs and drug packaging supplies inside the apartment.
The shooting incident on July 5th, where the 3-year-old child was shot, that was the genesis or the foundation of the search warrant.
Erie County's top prosecutor says there is still a lot more to this case, and there's certain aspects that need to be kept out of the public. He won't say if the guns recovered were used in the shooting. What he will say, more people need to come forward for the sake of this young child and the community.
You have a unique situation where you have a 3-year-old child, and hopefully that tugs at your heart. Hopefully that on an emotional level that says to someone, a human being, my gosh, I've got to come forward. I've got to tell what I know.
Anyone with information on the July 5th shooting or any crime in the city is asked to contact the Buffalo Police confidential tip line.
I will say this. I want y'all to notice this. Let me show y'all something real quick.
Shooting or
and then we're going to wrap up. And thank y'all for staying so late with me.
Crime in the city is.
Let me show y'all something.
Asked to contact the Buffalo Police.
I thought this was really cool. You see a lot of men out there, a lot of fathers out there, and they at least had some people in the streets, and it looked like they cared. Looks like the police officer is talking to the man. They're trying to work together. It's something about this video, this point in the video, I just really like this moment. Because we actually need more of this. We need more cooperation with the police to cooperate with us, and for us to cooperate with them. We need to cooperate together. I don't think people understand how vital it is for all of us, as black, as white, as Asian, as Latin, as African, as police, as government. All of us need to, as military, let me not forget about our military. All of us have so much more in common than we do different. We all have so many things in common. We need to take advantage of every opportunity to try to come together, work together, and help each other. Amen on that? Thank you. Thank you. Just thought this was a good moment. Just want to credit them for that.
Confidential tip line at 847-2255. In Buffalo, Hannah Bueller.
Now this, I think, is the grandfather. He looks like he's like my age. He don't even look that old to be a grandfather. But this is the father to the father of the baby boy, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, I really don't know what to say right now. I'm just a loss for words that it can happen to a little kid when he's in front of his house, in front of his grandmother's house with his father, you know, cooking, enjoying fireworks like everybody else was doing on the 4th and the 5th. For my son, for the 3 or 4 years he was able to be a father, you know, I looked up to him. He was a good father. No. He was a good father, man. He took care of that boy. He don't deserve it. Him being 3, he just killed the whole generation. You know, we don't know what this man could have became. I probably was looking at the next mirror. As much stuff as I talk, man, I know he's gonna do something.
Believe it or not, I actually understand what he was saying. He said what I said and what I always say, but he just said it in a different way. What he was actually saying was this little boy could have grown up to become something great. He could have grown up to become anything. And unfortunately, his life was taken by somebody who resembles his skin tone, his neighborhood, his community. Okay? So our condolences to the family. We're sorry for baby Quill losing his life at the hands of thugs and idiots and drug dealers selling drugs to their own people. But while we're talking about cutting out, because we're getting ready to talk about that picture right there, cutting out the violence and breaking the cycle, let's talk about this cycle that nobody else is going to talk about except me. This picture signifies something very scary to me. When you talk about what he could have grown up to become, a lot of boys end up becoming products of their environment. They end up going along with the people in their neighborhoods. They end up getting enamored with fast money. They get enamored with the women who like these type of boys, because a lot of these women like these thugs. So the boys want to be getting the girls, and they know that they have to be like the thugs. That's the pattern that they follow. You know what this means? I don't really know what it means, but they say gang, gang. You hear them say gang, 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 gang all the time like this, throwing this up. I don't know what that is. I know about some of the old 80s and 90s gang signs, but I don't know what that is. But I've seen the older teenagers, the young 20-year-olds, some 30-year-olds that do this stuff. Why am I bringing this up? For a reason that y'all might get mad at me about. I would love to think that this baby boy would have grown up to become something great. Like the grandfather said, like a mayor, somebody productive in his community. But a lot of these boys that grow up around violent environments and gang-infested environments and drug-dealing environments end up doing those very same things. Most of them that end up not doing those things, it's usually because they either get moved out of those environments and move to a safer, more productive environment, or they end up in sports and they have to just survive and live and let their sports carry them through. But most of them don't end up wanting to go to college. Most of them don't end up having any aspirations. And most of them don't want to wait and be patient for a paycheck. You can interpret what I just said however you want to, but I think I've said enough showing that picture. Let me show you, when I talk about fast money, something I've been harping on 3 years now. Can y'all see this picture? Can y'all see how much money they're asking for in his GoFundMe? If you can't see that number, I'm going to see if I can highlight it for you. Let me break out my trusty whole whiteboard real quick. Can y'all see that number? How much are they asking in GoFundMe money? They're asking money from people, and they're getting funded from people that don't look anything like them. The people down here donating to them are not people who share their community, share in their neighborhoods. They're usually outsiders looking in, thinking that maybe one day, if we give y'all enough money and support y'all enough, that maybe one day y'all will grow up and start having some respect for each other. Maybe this thing will just stop happening on its own. Those are the type of people that are donating because somebody was plucking on the heartstrings. Baby Quell had no life insurance. That's a fact. The reason I know that's a fact, because if they had life insurance, they wouldn't be asking for burial money. If you had life insurance, you wouldn't be asking for burial money. If you had life insurance, you wouldn't be asking for any money. You would just cash in on the policy that you should have already had. Because if you live in the hood and high violence and high crime neighborhoods, then you would know that there's a high likelihood that some stuff is going to happen that you should have life insurance. Let's just say that maybe they didn't realize it. Then guess what that means? That the mom is probably, because this is a part of a murder, part of a crime, they're probably going to have a lot of these funeral charges taken care of by the state. So that GoFundMe money is probably going to go right into her pockets. If she's now going to move from that neighborhood, move from that city, then what she needs to do is get life insurance on her second child, her other baby, and on herself. Is that fair enough to ask? So that way, if something else happens, it happens when you live in the hood. Sometimes bad shit happens when you live in these bad environments. Is it not fair of me to ask, then take this free money, since you say you didn't have enough money to pay for life insurance in the first place, and take that money and invest it into a college fund, into a trust fund, into a life insurance policy for your children, for your remaining child. I just don't think that's too much to ask. $10,000 should not be invested in putting it into the ground. Why invest $10,000 in a funeral when we won't invest $10,000 in a graduation? Maybe I'm speaking too much. Maybe I'm making a little too much sense. We won't invest money into the living, but we want to dump money into the dead. What can $10,000 do to benefit young Quell's life? Not an MFing thing. There's nothing $10,000, $11,000, $12,000 is going to do for that baby's life that we lost. But that money could help his baby brother maybe move out of that area, secure a job elsewhere, get to a safe environment, do a little Google searching, a little research to find an area, a city, a state somewhere that isn't crime ridden, that isn't drug infested. You know, you could actually do that when you look at houses and apartments. It will tell you what the crime rate is in that area. At least it does on Trulia. Look, do some research, look it up. But I refuse to continue to look at these stories happen and not call out what I see as obvious issues. to have these elaborate funerals to say, you know what, my baby deserved a really awesome funeral. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. He don't deserve a beautiful funeral. He deserved a beautiful life. He deserved the best effort while he was living. Why do we do everything so backwards? It ain't just black people, but it's too many of us. I'm familiar with it just because I see it happen a lot in the black community. Why do we do things so backwards and say that we're going to invest all of this money, all of this time, all of this energy into a funeral? Why? When you've got kids out here every day that barely got good shoes, that barely have books at school, that barely have school supplies, that are on lunch programs, free breakfast and lunch programs, and depend on these summer programs just to be able to eat lunch. Are y'all hearing what I'm saying? We will dump all that money into a funeral, but we won't dump all that money into better books, into better schools, into better teachers, into better neighborhoods, to better streets, invested into fighting crime. Remember they talking about defund the police? You're talking about taking money away from a system and a group of people who could actually apprehend thugs, apprehend criminals, apprehend gangbangers who are out shooting your kids. You're going to defund them? And I say, don't defund the police. Defund thugs. That comes from one of our AFC members. Don't defund police, defund thugs. That's really where we can make a difference. We can't save baby Quill's life, but we can save his brother's life. We can save his family's life. We can save many more babies' lives, and maybe they can grow up and become something great. I want to thank you guys so much for listening with an open mind and an open heart, and I hope it means something, and I hope my words don't go in vain. I really love all of you guys, and thank y'all so much for listening. Y'all have a great day, and please, don't get mad at the message. Please just get the message. From my heart to yours, I love you all. Thank you. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Baby Quill, R.I.P.